A dazzling 46 save performance from Scott Wedgewood, along with a 3-point night from Roope Hintz, equals back-to-back 4-3 wins for the Stars. Let's talk about it next on Locked On Stars.
Your Locked On Stars, your daily podcast on the Dallas Stars. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Howdy, Stars fans, and welcome back to another episode of Locked On Stars, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. It's a pleasure to be with you. I'm Joey Erickson, former producer of 105 Through the Fan and play-by-play voice of the Chippewa Steel. Be sure to subscribe. We're free and available wherever you get your podcast and on YouTube. Thank you so much for making us a part of your day and making us your first listen. The Dallas Stars pick up back-to-back wins for the first time this season, in back-to-back days, I should say, as they take down the Edmonton Oilers by a final score of 4-3. And Scott Wedgewood was phenomenal. 46 saves in the contest, one less than his career high when he had 47, but a 46 save performance. He one-ups Jake Ottinger, who made 43 saves against the Calgary Flames. So the Stars get impressive goaltending in back-to-back nights as the Stars offense came out firing, especially in the second period, where they have been deadly so far early this year. They built themselves up a nice 4-1 lead. They had some cushion. They were trying to cruise to victory. It did not quite happen that way, as Edmonton made it very, very interesting. Sam Gagner with a couple of goals late in the third, cut the lead to 1. And there was a lot of 6-on-5 time for about 2.5 minutes. The Stars got some big blocks, and credit to them, did not give up a ton of opportunities. They ran out of gas. Look, back-to-back nights as the game wore on, you know you're not going to have the legs you did early in the game, and they certainly did not. They were very flat-footed, and Edmonton was buzzing around, and they were getting looks. But credit to Dallas, they kind of took the interior away from Edmonton, and they got a few key blocks. They made 25 blocks in the game, too, and were able to hang on. They got some very important clears, and they were not taking shots at the empty net, which I loved, because they were not good in the faceoff dot either. So you don't want to sacrifice an icing and probably more than likely lose a draw, and then you're back to defending even more. So they got a couple of nice chips out of the zone, which really, really led to them eventually winding the clock down and picking up back-to-back 4-3 wins. Roope Hintz and the top line continues to dominate. 3 points for Roope, 11 points in his first 8 games of the season. Also picked up a power play goal, which was huge. Special teams factored in. We'll get into that a bit more. But, man, the top line has been really, really good. And a big start for Dallas, too. Pete DeBoer touched on it before the game. He said the first 10 to 15 minutes was going to be massive for this team. Heading into a back-to-back, I did not have high expectations coming into the contest. Edmonton was well rested. They had not played since Sunday in the Heritage Classic. They're coming home. They've been very slow out of the gates. They've not been good, mainly because their goaltending has been ferocious, and it wasn't very good tonight either in Stuart Skinner, who gives up 4. But very, very good start. They had their legs early, and Wedgewood makes a couple of key stops. And after one of those key stops, Duchene goes down and buries one through the 5-hole of Skinner. He picks up his second goal of the season, extends his point streak to 5 straight games, and he's quickly become my favorite player. I love Miro. Duchene is moving up there. He's just so skilled. And one of the things that have become so admirable about him, and something that I really admire, is his two-way game. Look, the offensive ability is there. He's highly talented. We all knew that. He's very good in all 3 zones. The one shift he had late in the third when he buries Gagner in the corner, he lost the puck a few times, he stripped Bouchard of it, and then he drives to the net, dips his shoulder, is physical, and ends up getting a shot on Skinner, and then he is involved in a kerfluffle in front. Love to see that, and that'll earn you some brownie points in the locker room as well. But Duchene has been an X factor, especially for that third line. Sagan played a very nice game, consistent to what we've seen. Marchment did not have his best night, took a few penalties. One of them was weak. The other on the power play was not good. Not a good time to take a penalty, but big credit to the Stars who came into the game ready to go. They built that 4-3 lead, or 4-1 lead, I should say, and it ended up being enough. But Edmonton was coming in waves. They outchanced the Stars by a healthy margin in the contest too. It ended up being 35-21. High danger chances were 12-9 in favor of Edmonton too. But credit to the Stars having execution. They executed for really a first time in their limited chances this season. DeBoer also touched on it, that the execution has not been quite where they would like it to be. But that's going to come with time. Everybody's gelling. Look, we're early into this one, and credit to them. They had their chances and they buried them. And off the rush, I mean, 3 goals off the rush. Beautiful setup by Roope Hintz for Pavelski's goal, and a great stretch pass by Heiskanen there. Of course, Roope with a few himself off the rush. On the power play, which you love to see, 2 out of the 3 power play goals coming off the rush. They need to do that more. Use your speed. Drive the net. Roope Hintz picks up 2, just driving the net. The top line with Robertson with the left wing attack. Whip it rink wide. Hintz is on the back door. Pavelski puts it on a platter. Tap it into the back of the net. Thanks for coming, Edmonton. We got a 4-1 lead. And they did a phenomenal job off the rush. And they took away enough of the interior against Edmonton to get away with it. Not as much as you would have liked. Granted, I get it. They had 49 shots on goal, but Wedgewood answered the bell at every time he had to. So it was just a thrilling game all the way around. And back-to-back wins, you have to be happy about that. You've already picked up 4 points on this road trip. You have a chance now to pick up a full 6 on Saturday against Vancouver. This already qualifies as a good one. You have a chance to make it great on Saturday if you beat Vancouver. But the Stars, I should mention, because I have it, are now in sole possession of first place with 15 points this season, just a point ahead of the Colorado Avalanche. Of course, it's very early, but you have to keep pace with these good teams, and they did that again. So big win, back-to-back 4-3 victories for the Dallas Stars. Trying to show some love to other people. Ryan Suter has played really well this week. I know he does not get a ton of love, but on the PK, he's been excellent. He stood up McDavid a few times. He kept some good gap. He's been just really good, just to say the least. He's good in front of the net. He's been boxing out. He's had a good stick lately. He has not given up as many odd man rushes as we saw early this season. When he's very aware about where he is, his spatial awareness, he's a very solid defenseman. He's fluid, and he usually makes the simple play. And he's been a bit less aggressive, which is good. He does not need to be aggressive, pinching and giving up opportunities the other way. Allow Miro to do that. That's why you have Miro Heiskanen on your line. They played a ton tonight, by the way. The time on us numbers were interesting. Miro played 27 and Suter played 24, which was pretty incredible. Essa played 19 minutes, and the majority of that was actually on the PK, because the Stars PK was perfect tonight. They shut down the Oilers. They didn't really shut them down because they had a ton of time, but hey, they didn't score. So really they did shut them down. And Essa and Hakanpää both had over 4 minutes of power play time. Suter had 2.5 as well. Big credit to just everybody on the PK. Sam Steele, Ty Dellandrea. It did not help that they were not good in the dots tonight. Draisaitl wins like 70% of his draws on the power play. So they just had possession the whole time. And of course, Wedgewood had to be great, and he was. Look, you're not going to get that performance out of Wedgewood every start he gets, but he had it tonight, and it was good enough for the win. Let's touch a bit more on the special teams, because it was very impressive. And we'll talk about this 4-3 win and give some props to some more guys in just a moment. Today's episode of Locked On Stars is brought to you by Parkview Advance. As a business owner, you realize there are times when receivables might fall behind, but that doesn't mean you need to fall behind on your vendor payments, your payroll, or rent. For more than 25 years, Parkview Advance has helped businesses secure working capital from $5,000 to $1.5 million. Parkview can improve your working capital in as little as 24 hours. It's a much easier process than you might imagine. We invite all you entrepreneurs out there, Stars fans, that are locked on NHL fans, to learn more by calling them at 203-675-0071, or you can go to parkviewadvance.com. If your business needs working capital, call Parkview Advance today. The number again is 203-675-0071. Parkview Advance, helping businesses with their working capital. Go to parkviewadvance.com. Today's episode of Locked On Stars is also brought to you by Indeed. When you're drafting your fantasy team, do you ever wish you could do the same thing with your business? If you're building a roster to win the league, why shouldn't you do that with your business? You need Indeed. It's a hiring platform where you can attract, interview, and hire all in one place. Don't spend hours on multiple job sites looking for candidates. You're busy. Go to Indeed. They'll have the perfect match with the right skills for the employers you're looking for, and you can find top talent fast with their hiring tools, instant match, assessments, and virtual interviews. Hate waiting? Indeed's U.S. data shows over 80% of Indeed employers find quality candidates whose resume on Indeed matches their job description the moment they sponsor a job. Indeed knows that you're doing everything for your company. You can't afford to spend on hiring, or overspend at least, and overspend on time doing it. Visit Indeed.com/locked-on to start hiring now. Just go to Indeed.com/locked-on, Indeed.com/locked-on. Terms and conditions apply. Cost per application pricing not available for everyone. Need to hire? You need Indeed. Already back here on Locked On Stars. Thank you so much for all your love and support. Be sure to subscribe, never miss an episode. Thank you so much for making us a part of your day. Should be a fun game on Saturday as the Stars look to sweep their Western Canada road trip. I will not be able to do an episode right after. I'm going to see if I can do an episode on Sunday. It kind of depends on the schedule. I'm traveling this weekend for the team I cover, so it's a bit hanky-panky, to be completely honest. I'm not going to bore you with the details. And as I've mentioned, I would love to be able to cover like all the Friday and Saturday games after. It's just not really in the cards because I'm having to call games myself on Friday and Saturday nights. But you bet your bottom dollar I am watching them after. Okay, so I'm keeping up to date. That way I can relay all the perfect and accurate information, I guess I would say, is how I'm going to tailor that. Speaking of perfect, it wasn't perfect, but they're getting there in the power play. The Stars able to cash in. They go 1 for 2 on the night, and Roope Hintz picks up a power play goal, and they did it in a way I think they need to utilize more. Their entries are so much better when they're just using their speed, and you see it on the goal that Hintz scores. Pavelski driving the net, or at least the trailer. You have Hintz doing the same. Ben able to carry it in on that left wing. He puts it in front. You get the little poke check, and then Hintz buries it. They were not good on the faceoffs, and I'm kind of beating the dead horse there, but they weren't good in the dots. So entries were going to be very, very important, and they're just so much better off the rush, and they get so many more looks that way. They create rebounds and chances, and the goal scored on a rebound. Skinner makes the initial stop, and you have Roope there. But what was even more impressive and perfect was the penalty kill. They're able to shut down the Oilers. They go 0 for 4, which is very impressive and hard to do. I mean, the personnel that Edmonton trots out there on a daily basis is as good as it gets. It was historically one of the best power plays in the history of the game last year, and they sure had their chances. Wedgewood had to be good, but it was a busy night on the PK, and they did it in a combination of blocking shots, taking away shooting lanes, a few posts here and there. Bouchard just pounded 2 posts on the power play himself, but credit to them. They kept Edmonton on the outer edges of the rink. There wasn't a whole lot of chances really in tight in the slot area on the power play. A lot of it was Bouchard and McDavid from kind of outside the circles, which you're going to have to live with against a team like that. They're so hungry on the puck. They forecheck so well. They send everybody in a Navy jersey after a shot, or there's a rebound loose. I mean, everybody in an Oilers uniform is heading towards a loose puck, and they win the battle most of the time. And they re-rack it, and the puck movement is just so swift, and you're going to have to live with some of those chances. And they did. And Edmonton missed the mark on a few, but also it's credit to the penalty killing. And guys like Dellandrea played just 340 on the PK himself. Sam Steele, who's had to been inserted into the lineup the past few with Radek Faksa, who's still out with an upper body injury. He's been good. And you have to win the special teams battle against teams like Edmonton, and they did, and they come out on top. They did not win it against Toronto a few weeks ago. They do it here against Edmonton, and it was impressive performance. Of course, having 46 saves from your netminder doesn't hurt, but that's what you can come to expect from the Dallas Stars. If it wasn't going to be Wedgewood, it was going to be Otter. So very, very impressive things. Back-to-back 40 save performances from both goalies in Wedgewood and Otter as they pick up back-to-back wins. So the first back-to-back of the season kind of goes as planned. And as I mentioned, did not have a lot of high expectations. And I think DeBoer will have to be very, very pleased with his club's effort and determination. And you have to throw the 6-on-5 in there too. That's sort of like a special teams battle. And they kind of just parked the bus. They put everybody in front and they settled for shots on the outer edges of the rink. And Wedgewood made the stops when he needed, and the Stars got great clearances, really. I mean, the name of the game at that point is just flipping it out to neutral zone, continue to let the clock wind. They didn't sacrifice icings and for trying to get an extra point on the night. Just get it down the ice and let your defense do the talking. And to be able to shut down a team like that was good to see. When you don't have gas, you're tired as all heck. It's a hard thing to do against a team that's coming downhill at you wave after wave. And they were able to do it. Please let me know your observations, your reactions to the game. I'd love to hear your feedback and your point of view too on how you thought the first back-to-back of the season went, because I don't think you could be any happier with picking up 4 out of 4 points in Calgary and Edmonton. Now you have a chance to just go for the throat of Western Canada and take down Vancouver on Saturday. Let's talk a bit about this top line. Man, they're so good. They're the best line in the NHL. Flat out, boom. That's all I have to say. We'll talk about it some more in just a moment. Today's episode of Locked On Stars is brought to you by BetterHelp. This time of year can be a lot, and it's natural to feel some sadness or anxiety about it. Look, winter is coming. The days get a bit shorter. There's not as much sun, especially up here in the north. The sun is not up very much. It can be gray and very gloomy a lot of times, but adding something new and positive to your life can counteract some of those feelings. If you're thinking of starting therapy, you should give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Find your bright spot this season with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/LockedOnNHL today to get 10% off your first month. And the great thing about it is too, with BetterHelp, if you don't like the therapist you get handed to, you can move on. And that's okay. You want to find somebody that works with you. It's like any relationship. You want it to work and you can foster it as it goes. And that's the great thing. You don't like it, BetterHelp can help you find a new one that's more suited for you. And visit BetterHelp.com, as I mentioned, and use code LockedOnNHL to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/LockedOnNHL. Time to wrap up today's episode of Locked On Stars, touching on the best line in hockey. Roope Hintz, Jason Robertson, and Joe Pavelski were written all over this one tonight in Edmonton, 7 points combined from the big boys. Of course, Roope with 3, Pavelski picks up a couple, and Robertson has an assist as well. They just cannot be slowed down. Joe Pavelski is an ageless wonder. He continues to defy Father Time, and Hintz is just becoming one of the best two-way forwards in the game. Give him the Selke right now. Give him the Selke. His final shift, I believe it was his final shift on the 6-on-5, should be on his highlight tape when they award him this. Just blocked 2 shots, had to sacrifice his body, came up limping a bit, but the Stars were able to clear the zone and then show the tape, the offensive highlight tape of him just flying around. He looks like McDavid sometimes, the way he's just galloping up and down the rink. And he picks up 2 goals with relative ease, and he can do it in multiple ways, right? He can be in front and pick up those loose change, pick up the rebounds, or he can, waft in and beat you with a wrist shot, as he does so often up high on a goaltender. And he was all over the place. And with a guy with his motor, back-to-backs don't matter. Roope's so good. He could easily have 100 points. He's in the conversation with that, along with Robertson, if he stays healthy enough, right? I mean, that's really the only key. If he plays 75 games, somewhere in that realm, he could easily have 100 points. And along with Robertson, who's been the facilitator of the crew so far, of course, has not been bearing the pill as much as probably he would like, but he's been very, very effective already with 6 assists on the season. He made a great rink-wide pass to Pavelski, which set up Roope Hintz's second goal of the night, but 7 combined points from the top line. They were a huge factor in this one, as they usually are. But when that line's rolling, the team's so hard to beat. And the great thing about it too is when the Stars were a couple of years ago, right, it was just the top line. What was the share percentage of goals was almost 65% for the amount of goals they contributed for. And it's not going to be that way this season, because the Stars do have 3 lines, and the addition to, or 4 lines, I should say, with the addition to Duchene, I mean, it makes that third line just so deadly. And I already touched on him with how great he's been, but Pavelski it's just a great combination of parts. Pavelski's your net front guy. He is aware, spacious awareness. He knows where he has to be the most effective. Robo can score from anywhere, anytime. He can move. He's becoming a much better two-way player as well. And it's a perfect combination of speed, finesse, brains. It's a whole operation. And when they're firing all cylinders, it just makes it so easy. That line in general, taking a look at some of the scoring chances they provided for, they ended up with 3 on the night, which wasn't a ton, but they darn near scored on all 3 of the chances they did have. And there's something to be said for that, because they were executing at a high level. And this was a big one tonight. Going in on a back-to-back, first really kind of longish road trip of the season. You played the night before in a very, very tough contest too, where you had to come from behind. But they come out and they do an excellent job. And I can't say enough about the Dallas Stars after tonight. And I know I'm beaming with joy, but like I mentioned, did not have the highest of expectations, and I thought they played a very spiffy, buttoned-up road game. They do their business. They got the puck in deep. They forechecked really hard, scored when they needed to, and they shut down the Oilers' offense at certain points of the game at critical times, namely on the PK, and of course with the 6-on-5, because Edmonton started to come downhill. Of course, they had fresher legs. They've been off for a few days, and the Stars were able to weather that storm. I don't know if you're going to get Wedgewood like that night in and night out, but you cannot complain. That is for sure. So that's going to do it for today's episode of Locked On Stars. I want to thank everybody for joining me. It's been a wonderful week in DFW. The Stars so far undefeated during the week. Texas Rangers win the World Series. I hope anybody that's going out to the parade has a phenomenal time in Arlington. I wish I could be there as well. It looks like it's going to be a hoot. And maybe, I'm not going to get ahead of ourselves, but maybe we can start planning a parade in the spring sometime. I don't know. Stars are off to a great start. First place, by the way. I'm going to start saying that every podcast now. First place, 15 points, 7-1-1 in the first 9 games in the Central Division. Let's continue this on Saturday. Let's go for the throat. Take all 6 points of this road trip, and we'll be happy. As I mentioned, not going to be able to do anything like instant reaction type stuff for Saturday, unfortunately. Tossing around the idea of doing a Sunday episode. Depends on the travel and if I'm getting sleep or not. So we will see. But thank you so much once again. Be sure to subscribe. Never miss an episode of Locked On Stars. You can follow me on the X Twitter thing. I like to throw out my takes and opinions and spew all my stuff. And you can hear me scream sometimes when I'm calling games if you're into that thing. But other than that, that's going to do it. And we will see you next Monday here on Locked On Stars. So long, Stars fans.